Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I went through my old art and decided that some of these just were a little too busy. They were me basically trying too hard, and starting with my parrot. This one I went overboard on, I think, as far as the detail and the line work. Some people might think that it's beautiful, it's perfect, it's awesome. And I did think so too, until I realized that the texture was kind of competing with everything else, especially in the face. And so I decided, what if I just removed most of that detail? Does it still look good? Another thing that I'm trying to fight back against is the idea that more detail equals better. That's obviously not true. We see plenty of work that does not have hardly any detail. Some of it might be even called flat, but it still looks pretty. It still says what it needs to say. So that was me realizing that I didn't trust that simple was good enough. So this was really me trying to hold back the temptation of thinking I had to add more. Even in this first drawing, you'll see I still couldn't help myself. I had to add some dark lines, some hatching, some little small marks in there, just because I felt like it wasn't done. And I had to realize that no, it's enough. Just a little bit of detail is enough. One for the orchid, I went a little bit simpler because this was done originally in pencil, and I decided just to add a little bit of color to make it pop out, but otherwise the inner hatching and sketching parts have been removed, just so you can focus on the object itself, or the subject rather. And I chose just 3 different colors to make this pop. Then we come to the shepherd. This one is not going to be super obvious at first on what was really removed or reduced, because I honestly had a harder time just simplifying this one from a visual perspective. I did still do the outlines, I still did a little bit of texture in the background, but the way I did it was changed. For one, I don't know if anyone has ever stippled before. It's where you do tiny little dots repeatedly. That hurts your hand after a while, and I got tired of that, so I decided to just do these little like rotating scribbles through that back part. And then the shepherd himself, the shading was a lot simpler. I just did hatching instead of going through all of the detail for his robe. And for the sheep in the background, I went super simple with the shading. I didn't do any fur detail. There was a lot of resistance to like working through the urge to prove that I had the skill to render these subjects, and you can always obviously keep going. There's nothing wrong with more detail, and in fact, more detail, is impressive. It is gorgeous to look at. But for those of you who may be pressed for time, or who maybe feel like you're burnt out, you don't want to keep going on a piece, it's okay to simplify your work. And there's a bunch of different ways to do that. it actually brings more clarity to the work sometimes if you just let it be what it is. So if you feel that your work is doing too much, or you feel like it's not good enough because it's too simple, you probably are overthinking it. You probably don't need more than what you have. As long as the subject can still be observed, you can see what it is, it can still be appreciated. I'm still learning this process. There's still a lot of parts that I think can go back on, that I can just revisit and try to improve. But at the end of the day, I actually love how these turned out. I definitely appreciate how I focused on the parrot's face more, how I focused on the line work for flower, and you can still appreciate its shape. And then the shepherd, how that drawing compared to the original, which is actually smaller, took way less time to render just because I chose simpler strokes. And so this is changing how I approach my art, and hopefully viewers, if you have any other ways that you can think to simplify your art, I hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.